Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to our latest webcast that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly. And I am truly delighted today that I've managed finally to get Simon Applebaum on to our webcast. Simon is, of course, Managing Director at Gold Medal. And Simon, this is the first time you've joined me on one of these. So how are you?
I'm doing great, Lucy, and it's just diaries. It's don't take it personally. It's
No,
been
I
a bit of a
have
tricky
been.
one to get in.
No, it's really good. Of course, you took over as MD in, well, difficult times, I guess, November last year, but you've been at the helm now for a while. And I'm sure it's been a bit of a rough ride for all of us in the industry. But today we're going to talk a little bit about how you're going to coming out of this and looking ahead to 2023. So why don't you sort of kick us off with some of the plans that you've got in store, Simon?
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly it. I think it's been challenging. Yeah, we know that operational issues and staffing have, I think, caught all of us on the hop. We came back so quick, but actually, what's been really pleasing the last couple of months is that a lot of that has quieted down for us. So, our staffing levels are much better. We still do have vacancies, so if anyone watching this is looking for a great business to join, we'd love to hear from you. But we are moving forward, and what sort of the last few months as we've been doing is looking at 23 and just sort of saying, look, isn't this exciting? We get to think about growth, we get to consider the business we want to be. And of course, we went through a big consolidation through the pandemic. And so the sort of regime I took over from, they did some fantastic work right sizing us for the pandemic and getting us through that. And we're here today because of their work. But they weren't, of course, positioning us for growth. They were positioning us for survival in a
Yeah.
difficult time. So I think as I've spent the last sort of 8-9 months looking at the business, it's really been about what are the assets, what do we need to do. And so I think one of the key things that we all do, myself included, you did at the start, is we use Gold Medal as a shorthand. So we talk about Gold Medal, and it's actually the Gold Medal Travel Group. If you go to Companies House, we're the Gold Medal Travel Group, and we have 4 major brands sort of in our portfolio. And I think what we've done through the pandemic is really concentrate those almost to the point they became sub-brands. They became things that Gold Medal do. And actually, they all stand up in their own right. They have their own specialist teams. And I think as we look forward for each of those 4 businesses, we really want to invest in technology, in marketing, in tools for agents, all the things that we do. At the end of the day, the thing that unites everything we do is it's agent first. And just but out of the pandemic, really call out the 4 brands and get back to Gold Medal is, of course, our flagship brand. It's a premium, tailor-made holiday business that sells the entire world, has some fantastic product, but it's also, sits alongside a luxury business in Pure Luxury that has the Pure Luxury ambassadors who are specialist experts in sort of that high wealth discerning customer, and who are supported by concierges who do all this amazing stuff, that the agents don't pay for. Will book your romantic extras, your tables, your golf tee off times. You get a lounge pass included in all of those bookings. We have the Mahaba service in Dubai. There's loads of fantastic offering for Pure Luxury. We have Cruise Plus, sort of best of, we call it best of land, sea and air, but actually it's land, sea, river and air, because we've got fantastic growing river cruise portfolio. And we put together these amazing itineraries in that business of not just cruises, but cruises attached to touring with stays before and after, all of that, of course, packaged. And finally, we have Incredible Journeys, which is our sort of adventure brand, really our touring product. And that's probably been the one that's been almost dormant through the pandemic. There's been a combination of low demand and us really not spending any time really focused on it. But when we've looked ahead at what we think is going to happen in 23, we think that's going to absolutely surge back. So we're in the midst of investing in that team. We're hiring specialist contractors, specialist marketers to focus on that touring sector. We're spinning up a fully specialised touring team that we used to have that had sort of moved back into the general Gold Medal population. And so really putting our money behind these strategies and you know, doing what we're calling specialism at scale. Because of course,
Okay.
gold medal has such a breadth for product that we're in a fortunate position of being able to have all the upside of contracting on volume and technology, but also able to put these teams in that focus on nothing but their
Okay.
specific brand.
Okay, so what you're saying is we're now to think of you as Gold Medal Travel Group, a bigger entity. Clearly, Gold Medal remains that flagship, but whereas we might have thought of these other three as just these sub brands, you're going to elevate them, and this is not just in terms of how you're presenting it. You're going to support it with investment, technology, and specialist sort of ring fence teams for each brand. Is that what you're saying?
If I could have answered your original question as articulately as that, Lucy, I would have done, because that's perfect summation. I think they're specialist brands, not sub brands, and actually the number of passengers we carry in our pure luxury business would make it in a standalone world a really large player in that space.
So can you just, for people who don't know perhaps how big you are, give us an idea of either your ATOL number or what your carryings are, for each of these
I think
programs.
You're going to test me. So let's call Incredible Journeys today as really small. I'm not going to put numbers on because that has to go through certain channels to put them out there, and I'm not sure what's in the public domain. But Incredible Journeys stays small. We'll be carrying a few thousand passengers on that program, and that we see as probably the one that will rebound fastest and has the most exciting growth potential. Cruise Plus will be a £20 million plus business in and of itself. Pure Luxury is double that. And then we have Gold Medal, the wholesale businesses, the groups businesses, lots of things I'm not even talking about that fall under those atolls. So it's really challenging to give you a granular breakdown without a 2-hour sort of seminar on
no, that's fine. I just think it was good to get an idea of the scale, because I'm aware of all of them. Probably Incredible Journeys the least, but and as you've said, it's the one that's been a little bit dormant as well for the last couple of years. So perhaps then let's go through each of them then and give them the time they deserve and talk about what we can expect either from product development or what you're going to do to support the trade to help them sell those different programs better. So should we start with Gold Medal and then go through?
Let's start with Gold Medal because that the strategy is the most mature. So we want to make this product easier for agents to book. So we've invested really heavily over the last sort of 18 months in our web platform. That's really come to fruition in sort of the last few months. The share of our business that agents are booking for themselves has absolutely skyrocketed. That's more than 30% of that business is now is agent self-serving on the front end, and we've actually alongside that put loads more self-service from a fulfillment perspective in there. So lots of what we call easy changes to bookings can be done online. So for a full amendment, you might need to still call us because there's obviously multiple suppliers and they have different levels of connectivity at their end. But for lots of that sort of name changes, etc., we can do all of that now electronically, which is great.
And agents love that because they do not want to be hanging on a phone, do they, to just get something like that done? That's
it's a shame, isn't it? When someone sits on the phone for 10 minutes for a 2-minute request, that's.
I think they'd be happy if it was 10 minutes, Simon. With some of the agents I've spoken to, they're hanging on for hours to do something like that, and they haven't got the resource. No one has at the moment because we're building back, aren't we? So people just haven't got the resource to be able to sit around doing that.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big values we provide. I think sometimes when we're really comfortable with our wait times. They're under 20 minutes for all the key lines as a weekly average. We obviously have spikes, but when an agent calls us to make a change to a package holiday, of course, we then in turn contact the hotelier, we contact the airline, and we, if there's a transfer or an attraction or any of the tour on that product, we're making multiple calls and sometimes sitting on hold, we know, for far longer than the agent. Of course, that's the value that we provide. That's why you use a gold medal to fulfill a holiday like that. So big part of our strategy is digital. On the product development side, we're always looking at our destination mix. So We've got people going out to Israel in the next few weeks to have a look at that as a destination. We're out in the Indian Ocean at the moment. Some of our product team looking at new properties and islands out there. So there's just a continual sort of cycle of, you know, what should we be selling? What do we want to curate? Because it is a curated product.
And just while we're on that, then the decisions you make around product that you add, is that sort of driven by, you know, the current demand that you're seeing? Something, you know, what I guess I'm getting at is, what trends have you been seeing as we've been coming out of this pandemic? What are people looking to book? Is it the same as pre-pandemic? I know obviously there was a bit in between that would have been very different, but are you seeing it going back to what it was, or have people changed their what they want to do?
I think it's really challenging to look back very far, because obviously it was driven by what was open. So we all had sort of that Dubai surge when it felt like that was the only place
You could go.
You could go. And what we've seen as places have opened up in Australia is it's absolutely rebounded to where it was previously. It's sort of a top 3 destination for gold medals. So Australia, for example, doing fantastically. We've seen a real resurgence lately in Thailand, which was another core destination for us. Of course, Japan, you know, is tricky at the moment. There's some interesting rules out there about escorted tours and who can run those trips. China, of course, is shut, but they weren't sort of those top destinations for us. They were in the mix. So what we're seeing now is absolutely sort of a return to broadly where we were before the pandemic, but with some really strong growth areas. So we've certainly seen in the Indian Ocean, Mauritius, Maldives, they've become far more, well, I don't know if it's more popular, but we've certainly seen a big swing in our business there.
And perhaps because they were open sooner, and then, you know, people feel confident.
Yeah, and I think they've just got much better at, you know, understanding that UK market and seize that opportunity. And I think we work with some fantastic partners out there who provide really good value offers for us and make that product accessible for more people. So on the product mix side, I don't think there's anything hugely dramatic on the gold medal front. If I looked at my trading from the last 7 days, beyond those places where there's still sort of lingering restrictions, generally seeing
Sorry, but you said at the outset that gold medal sales, you know, it's the whole world, and I know you were increasing some of your product that was more mid-haul, I guess, closer to home. And so is that still part of your plan?
It's there. It's not what we're known for. I think it's we can book pretty much anywhere. You know, we benefit from our role within the Donata Group of having access to a remarkable hotel inventory, you know, absolutely enormous possibilities, but we're not really focusing on low cost air and sort of those short haul destinations that I think sort of 7 and 14 night stays, the traditional space that Thomas Cook operates, because we don't see that as where the agent should be. You know, I think the strategy that I've outlined today is not only about our internal strength, but it's where I see the value of agents. And if we look at sort of 5 years' time, there's a large part of me that doesn't see the travel agent who's become addicted to the sort of mainstream 7 and 14 night package holidays adding that much value to their customers. You can book that stuff so easily online. It's very commoditized. And whereas the touring and adventure piece, the cruise and stay, this stuff is complex. So when an agent sells that product, they're adding so much more value to their customer. And that's our belief in the business, is that we should be moving where agents add most value and guiding our partners towards that place. And lots of them see exactly the same thing, and they're investing in their own touring strategy and their own cruising strategy. And we're supporting that with marketing and collateral to help them drive that business. But I do think what consumer confidence is low, and agents are seeing a really good stream of business in those tour operators that are doing European beach. But I don't know how sustainable that is once normality returns and the pandemic becomes less recent.
Do you think that's a bit of a short-lived thing? People are just trying to get away because they haven't been away for a while. They want to do something closer to home that they're comfortable with. But you think that could be for 2022 only?
I think we'll see that linger into 23. I think, you know, I'm not, you know, some of those businesses do fantastic job supporting the trade, and I take my hats off to them. You know, they spend, but as well as advocate for agents. But I believe ultimately the consumer will won't see why they would use an intermediary to book that product when it's available at the lowest price on a website, and it's 5 clicks away. There's no complexity, there's no configuration really. It's pretty point and click. So I would expect, if we're looking at through a 3 to 5 year lens, the agents that prosper will be the ones that really put their weight behind more complex itineraries.
Yeah, which is obviously driving the strategy we're talking about today,
exactly,
and elevating these other products. Out of interest, you mentioned agents there. Is it your traditional loyal gold medal agents that have transed over to selling Cruise Plus and Incredible Journeys? I mean, are they, or are you getting new agents coming to you that are selling those kind of products?
It's a massive mixture. So we have agents who support all 4 brands. We have agents who potentially work with 3 of our brands but have their own cruising product, or to just go elsewhere for that particular, or it might be they do something different on touring. So every relationship with every partner is unique. It really is. But lots and lots of them support our family of brands for, fully. And we always want to do better and do more with them, and win a bigger share of that business, and it keeps us on our toes that we know we've got competition in all 4 businesses. All 4 brands have their own unique set of competitors and people trying to win that booking. So we never take for granted that people are going to come to gold medal. We go out and we try and earn every booking that we get.
Okay, all right, I want to talk all about that, but we're jumping around, and we'd better go through the other brands. So I wanted you to talk about gold medal and then what the developments would be in the other 2. So you mentioned, when you talked about pure luxury, some details around the concierge service, which sounds certainly that you've enhanced that since I last spoke to anyone about pure luxury. Is that something that you've really pushed more, to sort of offer all of this extra added service?
We do lots of it. We want to do more. We're actually, our best pure luxury customers absolutely get the value in the concierges, and of course it's just a pass along service, so that you can provide your customers with all of those extras I talked about, whether or not that's the meet and greet at the airport, or the tea time, the restaurant booking, the spa reservation, etc. But we're really happy to do that on their behalf. We can always do more of it. So it's a really popular service, but I want those concierges as busy as possible. And what we do around pure luxury is it really is a done for you service. We work really closely with probably a smaller set of agents who look after those high wealth individuals. So
in terms of what we're going to see coming out of pure luxury, you're saying it's there already for the taking, it's there to be used, or are you going to add in more services?
I think we've spun out more of the fulfillment, so we're now doing all of the post booking in a specialist team as well. So that means that team can be co-located. It means that how we handle schedule changes, etc., can be even more better managed. We can get to the communication of those customers even quicker. They're extra heads. We've not done that at the detriment of any of our other brands. So that's been quite a big change and a big investment for us. So we've moved some really good people into that team. We've continued to build the numbers. So we've been recruiting steadily into all our teams, but in pure luxury, we've got a few more ambassadors, and they've typically all got years of experience in that clientele, because they do have different demands and expectations. In many cases, they're spending really significant amounts of money, and that needs to be seamless. And of course, when an agent puts that booking with us, we have to really take good care of that and make sure that everything from start to finish is a reflection on the travel agent, that they want to keep winning that business. And we've got some really long-standing partnerships where people come back to us time and time again, and it's just a growth area for us.
And growth in terms of product and properties that you're selling, or I guess you'll sell whatever.
it grows more slowly because there's only so many properties that meet that classification and the sort of standard that we want for that, because it's not a 5-star is sort of the wrong measurement. It's a little bit too broad, so we really heavily curate what will sell through that brand. The ambassadors who sell that product really know it, so they're really comfortable. One of our teams actually based out in the Caribbean and lives out there, and when she's not serving a customer, she's out there looking at the product and sending feedback to us. So we've got boots on the ground in terms of really understanding that marketplace. Our new marketing director, Sarah Lancashire, is from that background, much more so than me.
Yes,
so
she came from Carrier, didn't she? 4 years at Carrier.
She'd been at Scenic and Carrier previously, so she's come in, and you can expect some real work on the branding. She's certainly putting some beautiful visuals in front of me at the moment, and she, that stuff is window dressing. It's all about the service, but it's important. It's important that the client documentation, everything feels aligned to those expectations and that customer demographic. And Sarah's just really elevated, I think, that the presentation of the service proposition, and certainly brought in ideas and things that she had worked with before that had worked elsewhere. But yeah, Pure Luxury has grown significantly this year. It will do more than it did in 19 for us, and we're really excited about.
What do you think it could do in the next? You keep saying 3 to 5 years as your timescale you're looking at. So what
I don't think these are customers who are going to be particularly impacted by some of the headwinds that other customers face. So I think we feel more confident in that business. I'm loath to put numbers on it because some of this stuff we don't disclose. But
we don't put numbers, but I mean, do you see it doubling in say 5 years?
Yeah, I think in 3 years, absolutely. So it'll have grown double digits versus 19 this year.
Yeah,
we expect that to continue. Every month we're setting new records for that business line. We've got some new hotels in the pipeline that our contracting team are working with, and sometimes these aren't always large properties; they're boutique properties. So the distribution of those, they're really careful of. They're very guarded about their branding, quite rightly. So sometimes when you want to bring a new property on, it's a longer life cycle than some others.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I think you're referring to the cost of living crisis, that the headwinds, you described them, but they are coming down the line for some people. And you're saying that people who might buy a Pure Luxury holiday perhaps would be slightly more immune to that. But do you think that's the case across all your brands? Because they're all of quite a significant value, aren't they? They're not real cheap holidays.
Even Gold Medal is a premium product. We use the word luxury and premium very carefully because we absolutely curate the product in Gold Medal, and we're not selling properties we're not comfortable to deliver to our brand standards. We're in a cost of living crisis, so we've obviously got energy price cap really in the news, really sort of drawing attention. But it's been the case throughout this year, and our business has thus far been really resilient. We're absolutely on plan. We've not had to sort of manage our own internal expectations of the recovery at all. So I've not got a crystal ball, but thus far the holidays that we're selling have clearly continued to be bought, and we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll adjust if we see those demand softening.
What do you mean you'll adjust?
Well, we'll just.
You're not going to just drop your prices, are you?
If we've got, I think it's 55 further heads going in across the 4 brands in the next 9 months. So you can just soften some of the pace you hire at if the demand's not there. So we build. We're a big planning business. We build pretty robust plans quite far out. But
in terms of adjusting your product for your consumer, it's not like you can just suddenly make it more affordable.
No, of course not. There's only so much you can do in margin, but I don't think at the value of holidays that we're selling, if it was a few pounds cheaper, we'd do it. I think do people start to look at their 3 holidays a year and drive them down to 2? Do we see, if I was in ski and it was that second trip, I might be concerned, about, if historically seen that doesn't do brilliantly in downturns. But at the moment, with the information we've got today, trading yesterday was really strong.
Good.
And that's the best predictor of what we've got that's going to happen today. But,
okay. So you're going to keep an eye on it, but so far it's not kicking in for you at the moment.
I really believe travel has more pent-up demand than we anticipated. I think people are thirsty for it, and they will give it up through very gritted teeth. So I think we'll be really resilient, and you can never say never, but I feel confident.
And it's interesting that you say more demand than we anticipated. I assume you mean as an industry rather than Gold Medal Travel Group. Do you mean that? Because we've seen quite a lot of issues that must have been impacting you, whether it's flight schedules or airport capacities, like how's that been playing out for a business like yours, which does rely obviously on having schedules in place so you can sell holidays?
It's been challenging. I'm really loath to get on the criticism bandwagon, because I don't know the first thing about operating an airport and the complexities that are tied up in that, or running an airline, and the rules around training pilots. You hear lots of sort of comment, and as I talk to friends in the industry, I get a little look at what that world is, and they've got very local challenges. But I think that one of them was the speed at which demand returned. I think I took this job pretty much on the 1st of December. It was right at the end of November, and I'd come in and I'd been chatting to Elsa about our plans, and it was full throttle on recruitment on November the 20th. By December the 10th, we're in the full throes of Omicron. Nobody knows what on earth's going to happen there. It turned out to be quite a small blip in the grand scale of what we've experienced, but I think that hurt all of us, because everybody went, well, what's this then?
Yeah.
And we didn't know. It's easy with hindsight. You should have been recruiting up faster, quicker, earlier. But of course, we as an industry had to let so many people go. I think everybody was reticent about sort of jumping too quickly. So I have loads of empathy for everybody in the chain who maybe got some forecasting wrong or wasn't quite.
Well, and this was your message, wasn't it, when you spoke at the ITT? You were saying there should be no finger pointing. You were saying that it's, there's been a bit of agents getting angry with suppliers, and you were trying to, I think, call for a little bit of calm and understanding across the board. I think that's what you were trying to say.
Not everybody in our supply chain, whether you're an agent, an operator, an airline, an airport, we're happy when people are taking off in planes on time, having fantastic holidays, coming back, raving about it, and booking their next one. I don't know anybody whose agenda misaligns with that. I think we all want exactly the same thing. And so everybody's intent is good. I hold private views, and they are private, about where maybe some things could have been done better. A lot of them, I think policy around the sort of how we came out of the pandemic was challenging.
So you're not even going to have a go at the government? Come on.
I'm not going to have a go at anyone. It's just, it doesn't change anything. I'm very forward focused. So if we look backwards and we re-legislate the past, we don't gain anything. Maybe there's some lessons, but this was such a sort of
some policy was tricky and held you back a bit, but we are where we are.
But I think that that's all been said, and the coals of that were raked at the time, and I think we are where we are. There's the restrictions by and large aren't there. The changes to the schedules are still challenging, but they are less challenging than they were earlier this year. There's that classic sort of success isn't a straight line diagram that we've all seen, and that's been the recovery. It's not been a direct.
We'd like it to have been like this, but it's not.
We all hoped it would be, but invariably we were restarting a really complex industry almost from a standing start, and not everything has been seamless. But I genuinely believe that we all want the same things, and if we all want the same things, then we keep working to that end, and we put less energy in throwing rocks and more into finding solutions, we'll be in a better place.
All right, good. Let's keep going, because we've got a lot to get through. We have only done 2. Cruise Plus, I'm very aware of this because obviously you're members of Clear and you know I'm very involved in moderating those conferences. You're always there, but just explain what that is then. So that's because lots of cruise specialist agents will have their own atoll and do their own cruise and stay packaging, but this is a product that if you're not got an atoll then, or you're not a cruise and stay specialist, you can buy through Cruise Plus.
Yeah, absolutely. So we provide bonded packages that include the cruise. They quite often include stays on the front and the back of that product. Sometimes people pair that. They'll be out in Australia, they'll do the cruise, they'll do the tour, and our experts will put all of that business together. This has surpassed all of our expectations. If we sort of where I thought cruise would be coming back into the industry, I thought it was going to have a much harder road back to sort of favour. And this has been an era. We are just training people up, hiring them in to take demand here day in day out. It's really, we've had record week.
Brilliant. And you mentioned river as well, because that's must be relatively new for you, isn't it? Adding on the river
it's an area that of our overall mix isn't huge, but we're just seeing more and more awareness. We're seeing more and more understanding of the agents. We try and support that, and it's just an opportunity, I think, for all of us to look at another line of inventory, another way to do it. And we know there's people who have been on the river cruise, have had it on their agenda and understood it for years. We maybe could have been quicker to capitalise, and there's still room to go, but we can absolutely sell you a river cruise with nearly all of the major suppliers and operators in that space, and we'll put that together, itinerary for you, bond it, manage all of the fulfillment, the ticketing, all the docs, etc. And it's and even some of those cruise specialists you mentioned, of course, if you hold the atoll, you hold all the responsibility. And we've seen some agents just go, right now, that is not a business we're in. So we're working
since the pandemic. They've decided actually.
I think with a lot of people who have very small atoll licenses have just said it's that the volume doesn't justify what the infrastructure required. So we've got a lot of partners who maybe were doing 50% of their business themselves, 50% with us, who have just said right now it's not on the roadmap. So we've picked up that other business, and I'm sure that's the same for a lot of tour operators who are doing it scale. You're just better equipped for some of the challenges we face.
Yeah, well, I mean, being a trade-owned business through this, I mean, everyone's been talking about customers going back to an agent to do their bookings because they want that reassurance. So that does sort of bode well for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I think we've really had the value of the agent reiterated. And I'll name check Miles Morgan, who I was speaking to not long ago. Is up a ladder with a chainsaw, as Miles would be. But he, I think he actually might have even been talking to you earlier this year. And he was talking about a new demographic walking into his stores and just seeing people who were 15, 20 years younger than he'd been seeing before. And I think that's really exciting for us because, of course, one of the questions I get is, what do you see as the future of the high street? And I think people like Miles and lots of our other partners really show that you can do it properly, you can do it well, and you can.
And you think that's a long-term trend? It's not like people are going to go, oh well, I was nervous for a bit, but now it's all back to normal. I'm going to go back to doing it online or doing it.
I think you will see some of the. I don't want to say easy, but some of the less complex itineraries. I come back to how much value as an agent are you adding when you complete that transaction for your customer, and if you're spending days working with them and helping them curate a holiday that they've been thinking about for a long time, you're adding way more value than if it's 7 nights in Gran Canaria. And that, that's not to knock those holidays. I've enjoyed and loved those holidays too. But
in terms of as a business model, we're not knocking the product. We're just saying if you're an agent thinking about your own business, that's a better bet.
It's just too easy to transact online. I think it's such a straightforward product to research and book in a way. A lot of the other holidays that we've talked about today, I don't know if you can book them online. I think a cruise and stay, there's very little offered direct to a consumer. And, you know, with the amount of ships out there and different itineraries and hotel, you know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of researching that we can do and expertise we can give to customers that they don't already have.
Yeah. And that leads us on nicely to Incredible Journeys, just briefly at the end there, because it's a complex product again, isn't it? You know, adventure travel, it's something that, you know, that you can add, or an agent can add value. And you're saying you've got a product that will really help them with that.
Yeah, it's a very similar model to the cruise position where we'll do all of the elements around the tour, and with the tour we can either work with our partners in resort to tailor and really put together something bespoke, or we can reach into our partnerships with loads of fantastic touring businesses. We work with we work with Intrepid, we work with an array of different providers, and
And is it traditional touring as well as adventure, or is it more
it's
adventure?
it's a real mix. We have
So you'll do
itineraries
culinary and wine
exactly that.
touring, and
So
yeah,
some people want to go to South Africa and they want to, you know, they're there for the
drink
wine. Some
wine.
people are there for great white sharks and safari, right? So we can cater to
Okay.
both those customers. We have an incredible inventory of touring products, thousands and thousands of sort of what I call prefabricated tours that are usually small group or group tours, or we can do tailor-made touring that we put together with a DMC partner
Okay.
to your specification.
And
And
you're saying this is growing more than anything. I mean, this is the
this,
one that
this
you see the real. I know it's from a small base, but you see real opportunity here.
I believe that this product is both aligned to people's sense of adventure. I think people are getting braver in what they want to do. I think that will only grow um, as the pandemic recedes. Obviously, a multi-country itinerary when you had different border requirements was a big hurdle for the consumer, the agent, and frankly us. You know, huge complexity, and that's just moving away. So I think it's natural that people will want to explore more. We're seeing the call volume for that product line grow week in week out, and there's always, but I don't think the demand is huge today. I'm looking at where the demand I believe is going to be next April, and getting our business really ready for that. And we're a big trade operator. I think I'm fair to say we're the biggest B2B only tour operator. So we've also got some responsibility to drive that demand, to be talking to agents about it, brochuring that product, putting collateral into market, training.
And you've joined ATAS. You're with Clear as Cruise Plus, so you're doing all the right things with all the different associations to get to more agents as well.
And we've got great expertise in the business. The legacy T2 business had a fantastic touring team. Many of those team members are still with us. So the nucleus for us now, as we've started to ring fence that and concentrate those calls into a specialist team, is really good. We're not sort of saying we want to get into touring. Where do we start? This was a major product line for the business historically. It's just one that sort of in 2022 was not a focus for us. There wasn't seemingly the demand, and the market was soft. But as we come towards the back end, we're just seeing that come back.
Yeah. We've talked a bit there, we've said a number of times about these ring fence teams so that you've got real specialists for each of the different divisions. But in terms of the sales function, Simon, and I'm going to come on to talk obviously about Nick Hughes, very well known, your sales director, and he has announced he's moving on to another business. So, and we also talked about how you have these different unique relationships with different trade partners. So how does the sales function work? Do you have one team out who talk about all four things, or you've got different teams on the road for the different products, or how's it going to work going forward, and what are you doing about replacing Nick?
I'll start with what's happening as Nick moves on, and I've known Nick for most of my travel career, and you know, I'm very lucky to have worked with him a couple of times, and I wish him all the best. He's been brilliant with our customers throughout a very challenging time, and I'm not surprised the change of scenery you know, is on the cards for him. I think he's also built a fantastic team. So we have Colin Curry, who is our head of sales. We have Claire Wetherall, who looks after most of our key accounts, and we have Karen Fletcher, who handles all of the sales support function within Gold Medal. So all of the queries that come through from agents, all of the incentives, the fam trips, they they're really, really tenured, quality people. So I'm really fortunate, actually. The time pressure on Nick's replacement is not huge, because I'd rather put the right person into that trade partnerships director role than rush out some positive PR. Look, Simon's made an appointment. So we will backfill that role. It is in market. We are sort of at the process where we're just starting to receive CVs. We're working with agencies, etc. And at some point in the next couple of months, I'll be sat around doing interviews, and in the natural course of things, we'll announce that. In terms of how the road team work, we've got 8 regionals. We call them trade partnerships managers, account managers, BDMs, whatever it's a very similar role. They're split regionally, and then we have 2 roles that focus purely on home working, where of course geography is less relevant.
Yeah.
And so there's a team of 10 who are out there with their own set of accounts, working with those accounts on managing any issues that arise, arranging marketing, doing training, etc. And so the team that Nick leaves behind is really tenured. It's very experienced. Many of them are familiar faces. So they all work across all 4 of the brands. They, when they're talking to an agent, they will cover all 4, but they equally are all sort of, they have an affinity or an alignment with one of those brands as well, because when we need somebody to go into Clear, I can say, send Gemma there, and she's not the next night driving up to an ATAS event. So there is a little bit of that.
Okay, so they all sell everything, but you have people that have got certain specialisms.
Certain backgrounds. So obviously, you want to know about Florida holiday. Both Rachel and Jodie and our team work with me at Attraction World, so they know tons about that product. Other people have come from a luxury background, so that's naturally
their thing.
Experience.
Okay, and so that's how it is. You see that staying. Not
we're
going to change.
We move. We tweak lines. We're constantly assessing and evaluating it. The second person for home working is a new addition, because that sector's growing so quickly for us. So, but expect iteration, not some crazy revolution. We got a fantastic award-winning trade sales team, and we don't want to sort of rip that up and start again. It's absolutely continuing the good work that Nick's done over the last few years.
Okay, all right. And obviously something that Gold Medal Travel Group is known for is your fam trips, legendary. I know Nick gave away a place at the AAAs this year, so I know they're back on the cards, but are they coming back fully, in the same numbers or even more, and across all the different brands? Is that what we're going to see more of? I know there's been the gold medal ones, the mega fams, but what about the other brands?
The other brands will all have trips. Sometimes they'll be supplier-led trips. So I'm on Prima this week with a number of our team who will be out there just looking at that product. Other times we'll be supporting agents in going to destination. We've done loads of trips this year, starting with Dubai. I'm hosting the Dubai VIP trip actually in a few weeks. We've had agents out in the States, in the Maldives. They're constant. In fact, so much so that I feel bad that I don't actually know what's coming up, because it is such a constant thread. But they're not. Where what's different is they're slightly smaller, and they're not smaller because our budget is smaller. They're smaller because of the capacity in the industry to spare staff for these things. So we have to be respectful of our partners and the fact that we're trying to run businesses and get the right balance between supporting agents, getting them doing the thing they love, but also allowing us as a collective to staff up. So we'll do far more next year did this year, but lots of the sort of classics were back. You were obviously with us at our golf day. We're doing our VIP trip that's been a special sort of note in our calendar for years. So there's lots of different activity going on all the time.
And your point, your loyalty scheme, is that still changes for Fairbank at all?
No, not radical. We're always moving where what we're supporting in order to really drive awareness of the breadth of product that we have. So sometimes we feel we need to shine a light on something that maybe hasn't had the spotlight for a little while, and that's a balancing act when when you sell the whole world and so many different sectors. But Fairbank's been an institution in the trade. I feel like for years. I think it was, it was
I think it was one of the first,
it
wasn't
was
it?
one of the very first. I
Yeah.
remember enviously looking over at it when it launched and thinking we need some of that. Agents know it; they love it. It's reliable and it's consistent, and I think it's just a really direct reward mechanism for us that lets us align our priorities with the incentives for the agents, and we can enhance where we're focused. So it's just it's not something that I've come in and gone, oh, I want to radically overhaul. We've done loads of work on how we bring, share the balances, etc., with people in the website, etc. So again, that digitalization of what was in, just naturally things evolve and they move to the web. So the Gold Medal website just is the home of Fairbank now, as well as your bookings and your booking management, etc.
Okay. All right. Well, look, Simon, I think I said we'd chat for half an hour. We've gone on a bit. So we probably ought to wrap it up. It's brilliant to speak to you. And you said at the start you've moved out of survival and into growth mode. And it's fantastic to see that and to hear all about your plans.
It's a really exciting time. We feel really excited about the rest of this year and next. So fingers crossed the whole industry comes with us on that journey.
I hope they do too. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you, Simon. Thank you so much for your time, and come back again soon. Don't be a stranger.
Of course I will. Speak to you soon, Lucy.
All
Take
right.
care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.